All right, I'm back. It's Erin again, or Hanky Pasinky, working on this wyvern egg. I had dyed it. What color did I dye it? I dyed it Okanagan wine, and then I did some stippling and some pooling with Orca Black to give it just a little bit of variation in color and shine, kind of like doing a scumble if you're base painting something before doing a finish. So it's pretty subtle, but I can see it. What you can also see right now are some basic guidelines that I sketched in with a white charcoal marker, or white, not a marker. It's a pencil. It's just a white pencil, but it shows up on the black. If you're wondering how I did the black dye, I literally just painted it on with a nice big fat fluffy watercolor brush, because watercolor brushes work great with dyes, which are basically watercolors. And if you're interested on using Pacinka dyes like a watercolor, I would recommend you check out Mark Malahusky's YouTube channel. That he is a master of painting with dyes and doing sort of a stained glass effect that's really quite gorgeous. And he does great tutorials on that. So I am going to start putting in scales. I'm just tossing on a simple white cotton glove. It's just going to keep me from getting any oils on my hands on the egg, because I don't want to do that. And I've got a fresh new candle, because my last candle was getting pretty gross. But this one has no pooled wax in it yet. Come on. So the more I look at the source material for this wyvern egg, I think that I'm eventually going to want a lot more color on the scales, which I really can't do just yet because the emu eggshell doesn't have a whole lot of color to it. What I eventually can do is to I'll probably just stipple on some inks at the end, some India inks after I've melted off the wax, and that will get me some brighter colors that'll actually show up on the darkness of an emu eggshell, because it just won't take a whole lot. So this is going to be a pretty tedious process. I'm not going to video the whole part because it's going to take a really long time. So basically I'm going to draw in each scale with wax, and then I'm going to fill it in with melted wax. And I'm using a super heavy Delrin again because I can just flood the wax on. Now you can probably hear it kind of grating up against there, because the emu eggshell does have a good amount of texture to it. And that's why if you're using an emu eggshell and you don't want that texture, what you can do is basically sand it. That will take off some of the outer layer, obviously, but it will get smoother and lighter as you get down through layers of the shell, which is a super, super cool thing when it comes to emu eggs and working with them. And you never really know exactly what that shell color is going to be. Sometimes it'll be shades of turquoise, sometimes it'll be shades of green, sometimes it'll be a little more blue, or a little less blue, a little white, a little less white. You never do know. Maybe I'll just, yeah. So these wyvern eggs, they have larger scales than I usually do with dragon eggs, which is actually kind of great. It means that the scales will go on faster, and that I can then have more space in the etch lines, so that those etch lines will be a bit bigger and wider boulevards than usual, which will allow for more color to go into them. There we go. So as always, it's important to make sure we don't have any holidays, because anywhere that is not covered in wax is going to get etched away when I eventually put this in vinegar. So maybe I want to make that just a little more pointy, that edge. Maybe I want that edge to be a little more pointy also, just a little more aggressive, a little less soft. And these are going to be pretty irregular. These are not going to be nice, neat triangles. They are not perfectly lined up geometrically. They are not perfectly symmetrical. They are all kinds of what I find very challenging to do. Something that nature does better than people do, which is organic or chaotic movement. Okay. What do we want over here? And if you can't tell from the angle of my camera, I am left-handed, so everything might look a little strange. I film everything sort of upside down, so it's as though you're sitting across the table from me watching me work, because that tends to be more comfortable for people than realizing that I'm working with the other hand. Which different societies have all kinds of nasty ways of referring to. And don't worry, the eggshell's actually stronger than my Kiska tip. So I'm not scratching the eggshell at all, even though it might sound like it. Just move and wax around. And now I'm going to need to concentrate a little bit more, and I can't concentrate and talk at the same time, it turns out. So I am going to turn off the camera from a bit, or maybe go to time lapse. We'll see. Catch back up with you on the flip side.